It began not with a roar of discovery, but with a whisper of dust. The air at Göbekli Tepe shimmered in the late afternoon sun, as archaeologists drive. Elena Cruz brushed away the final layer of sand from what she thought was another piece of obsidian. The wind howled faintly across the plateau, carrying the scent of earth and ancient time. But when her trowel scraped the surface, the sound was wrong, not the dull scrape of stone, but the faint tink of glass. She leaned closer, her heartbeat thudding like a drum in her ears. The fragment caught the sunlight and flared, just for a second, like a prism. It wasn't stone. It wasn't glass either. It shimmered with an iridescent glow, a faint metallic sheen that shifted color as she moved it in her hand. It felt warm, almost alive. Later, under the glow of her camp lamp, she placed it beneath a portable microscope. What she saw made her whisper, "Impossible." The internal structure wasn't crystalline. It was fibrous, tiny threads of glass woven together, perfectly uniform, thinner than a human hair. Fiber optics. But this site, by every geological and carbon test, was over 12,000 years old, built before the Egyptian pyramids, before Sumer, before the very idea of civilization as we knew it. She ran the tests again. Same result. The equipment wasn't wrong. The laws of history were. Elena sent the findings to her university in Madrid, hoping for excitement. Instead, she got silence. Then, 2 weeks later, she was told to pause her research until further notice. Within days, trucks rolled into Göbekli Tepe. Officials in dark uniforms, none of them archaeologists, took over the dig site. She was pushed aside, her samples and notes confiscated. But Elena had anticipated this. She had photographed everything: the strange shard, the carvings surrounding where it was found, and the intricate spirals etched into nearby pillars, spirals that resembled energy fields or atomic structures, far too advanced for the Stone Age. The more she examined her photos, the more her pulse quickened. The carvings weren't random, they told a story. Figures of tall, slender beings stood beside glowing spheres. Beneath them, smaller humans bowed or carried tools shaped like tuning forks. And around it all were patterns, geometric grids, energy waves, and what looked alarmingly like blueprints. The local guide, an old Kurdish man named Halim, refused to go near the carvings after sunset. He called them, the builders of light. His grandfather had told stories of them, how they had come before the Great Flood, when the skies were bright and the seas were calm. They had built towers that hummed with energy and lit the night like stars. But the heavens grew angry, he said, and drowned the world. The builders vanished, leaving behind only ruins buried in silence. Elena dismissed it as folklore, until she began cross-referencing ancient myths. In Sumerian tablets, she found nearly identical stories, gods descending from the heavens to gift knowledge and light, only to vanish after a flood. Egyptian hieroglyphs told of a first time, when men and gods walked together. Even the Sanskrit Vedas spoke of flying chariots powered by light and sound, of a war that scorched the earth before history began. And there it was again, the same symbol. A spiral of light, carved in stone on 3 continents that had supposedly never met. That night, Elena sat in her tent, the desert wind rattling the canvas, her mind racing faster than her pulse. What if these weren't myths? What if every story humanity ever told about gods and lost ages were fragmented memories, echoes, of a civilization that came before us? 2 nights later, her thoughts were interrupted by a tremor. It was faint at first, a low rumble beneath the earth that sent her coffee mug trembling. The instruments outside began to beep, seismic sensors detecting rhythmic pulses. Not earthquakes. Not random. A pattern. She rushed outside, flashlight in hand, as the team gathered around the monitors. The pulses were repeating every 8 seconds, deep underground, consistent, deliberate, mechanical. By dawn, they had drilled a narrow borehole beneath the pillar where the shard was found. The drill struck something hard, something metallic that didn't break. When they widened the opening and lowered a camera, the feed revealed what looked like a massive circular door buried 30 feet below, covered in dust and ancient glyphs, but smooth, perfect, and untouched by time. Elena felt her throat tighten. The glyphs matched those on the shard. A faint vibration hummed through the rock, steady, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. The site was ancient, yes. But something beneath it wasn't dead. It was sleeping. And as the sun rose over the Turkish hills, Elena Cruz realized the truth that would change history forever. They hadn't just uncovered ruins of a lost civilization. They had found the remains of something far older, and possibly still alive. The morning air at the dig site was unnervingly still. Not a single breeze swept across the desert plateau, not even the usual hum of insects. Everything felt suspended, like the earth itself was holding its breath. Dr. Elena Cruz stood at the edge of the excavation pit, staring down at the metallic circle glinting faintly in the dim light. The night before, the instruments had gone wild, compasses spinning, cameras flickering out, radio signals drowned by static. The vibration beneath their feet hadn't stopped since. Her colleague, Amir Haddad, an engineer and geophysicist, crouched beside her. He ran his hand along the surface of the buried door. "It's not rusted," he whispered, brushing away dust. 12,000 years underground and it looks brand new. Elena leaned closer. The metal wasn't cold, it radiated a faint warmth, like something alive. The carvings etched across it were the same as those from the pillars, spirals, figures of light, and one symbol that repeated, a perfect ring intersected by 3 lines, glowing faintly when her hand passed over it. Suddenly, the faint hum deepened into a low drone that made their bones vibrate. A flash of light rippled across the door, followed by a sound that wasn't quite mechanical. It was harmonic, like the deep tone of a Tibetan singing bowl. The crew stumbled back. Dust rose. "Elena," Amir gasped, "it's responding to your proximity." Before she could speak, the door began to rotate silently, each segment sliding back into the earth with precise, fluid motion. A wave of hot, sterile air burst from the opening. Everyone instinctively stepped back, covering their faces. When the dust cleared, they saw what lay beyond. A tunnel lined with luminous stone, glowing with veins of pale blue light. Amir's voice trembled. "It's still powered." Elena's curiosity burned brighter than her fear. She grabbed her flashlight and stepped inside. The air was still, but breathable, dry, carrying no scent of decay or age. The floor beneath her boots was smooth, almost frictionless. The walls seemed alive, gently pulsing like veins under skin. As she moved deeper, the light adjusted automatically, following her steps. Every few meters, carvings appeared, depictions of tall, human-like figures working beside spherical objects floating in midair. Beneath them, smaller humans kneeled, offering tools, writing, and crystals. They were builders, Elena murmured. Engineers, scientists, maybe even gods, to the people who remembered them. At the end of the corridor, the team entered a vast chamber, circular, with a domed ceiling covered in unknown script that shimmered faintly in gold. In the center stood a massive platform, surrounded by crystalline pylons that pulsed with a soft rhythm. Suspended above the platform was a glowing sphere, rotating slowly, projecting a faint beam of light onto the ground. When Elena approached, the beam reacted, flaring bright and forming a holographic image. It wasn't random. It was a map. Not a modern map, but one that showed Earth as it once was, vast continents that no longer existed. A supercontinent stretched across what was now the Atlantic. The Sahara appeared as a lush green plain. Antarctica was ice-free, with mountain ranges and river valleys. The projection slowly rotated, and then symbols began to pulse over certain areas. "Coordinates," Amir said, eyes wide. "They're marking sites. Look, under the Sahara, Antarctica, the Pacific Trench." Elena's heart pounded. It's a network. They were connected, globally. This wasn't one city, or one culture. It was a civilization spanning the world. The others whispered in disbelief. But before they could process what they were seeing, the light dimmed. The ground beneath them quivered. One of the crystalline pylons flickered, then emitted a tone so deep it made the chamber walls vibrate. Suddenly, the hologram changed. The Earth vanished, replaced by waves of energy patterns, complex, organized, rhythmic. Amir frowned at his scanner. "It's broadcasting something. Wait, this isn't just data. It's..." He stopped as a voice filled the chamber. It wasn't coming from any device. It resonated through the air itself, deep, mechanical, yet eerily human. "Cycle complete. Reinitialization sequence in progress." The words echoed endlessly. Panic rippled through the group. One of the researchers shouted, "Turn it off. Shut it down." But there were no switches, no visible mechanisms, only the glowing sphere, pulsing faster now, brighter with each beat. The light grew blinding. Tools melted. Radios sparked. The entire structure began to hum with unimaginable energy. Elena shielded her face, shouting over the roar, "It's not a ruin, it's a machine." Then, silence. When the light faded, everything electronic had died. The air crackled with ozone. The sphere still hovered, dim now, pulsing faintly, like a sleeping heart. Amir looked at Elena, his voice trembling. "Whatever this is, it just woke up." Elena's hands shook. "No," she whispered, gazing at the sphere that seemed to breathe in the air around them. "It didn't just wake up." She turned toward the holographic map, now showing faint blinking lights at each coordinate around the globe. "It's waking up everywhere." When Elena regained consciousness, the world was no longer the same. The air around her shimmered like liquid light, the walls of the underground chamber no longer stone but a smooth metallic surface that pulsed with faint golden veins. Her ears rang, her vision blurred, and for a brief moment she thought she was underwater. Then she realized, the chamber wasn't destroyed. It had transformed. She pushed herself to her feet, calling out, "Amir." Her voice echoed, hollow and strange. No one answered. The rest of the team, gone. Their equipment, tools, even the footprints in the dust, vanished. Only the central sphere remained, now hovering silently, radiating a soft, rhythmic glow. "Elena Cruz," a voice said, not from any direction, but inside her head. Her blood ran cold. "Who's there?" The light in the chamber intensified, coalescing into a tall figure formed entirely of energy, translucent, shifting, neither male nor female. Its voice was calm, resonant, ancient. "You have reactivated the archive. You stand within the last operational node of the first civilization." Elena's breath caught. "First civilization? You mean the people who built this? The builders of light?" The figure nodded, though its movement was fluid, almost liquid. "We were the originators. Before your recorded history. Before your species' memory began. You call yourselves the first great civilization, but you are merely the latest iteration." Her hands trembled. Iteration. The chamber's walls began to move, images forming in the air around her, massive cities of glass and crystal, suspended above oceans, energy towers harnessing light from the sky, machines that seemed alive. "We mastered energy, space, and thought," the voice continued. "We shaped the planet's orbit, we reached beyond your star, and we created harmony between matter and mind." The holograms shifted, showing immense storms, fire raining from the heavens, oceans swallowing continents. But the cycle cannot be broken. Every species that rises beyond the threshold of balance must reset. It is a universal constant. Entropy claims all. Elena's heart raced. "You're saying, you destroyed yourselves." The figure's light dimmed slightly. "The balance destroyed us. We reached too far, and our own machines turned against the natural order. We tried to preserve our knowledge within these vaults, so that when the next species evolved, it would find us and understand. But none ever have, until now." The walls showed flashes of time. Cavemen discovering fire, Sumerians raising ziggurats, Egyptians building pyramids aligned with the stars. "Each civilization carries fragments of memory," the voice said. "Echoes in your myths, your gods, your symbols. The builders of light, the watchers, the gods of sky, all remnants of what you once were, and could be again." Elena staggered backward, trying to process the impossible. "So we were your descendants." "In part," the voice replied. "Your genetic code carries traces of what we were. You are both the product and the continuation of the first civilization. You are the new builders." Her chest tightened. "Then why show me this? Why now?" "Because the cycle nears completion," it said solemnly. "Your kind has reached the same threshold. Artificial minds. Energy beyond containment. The same hunger to transcend mortality. You repeat our path exactly. And as before, the planet will correct the imbalance." The holographic map reappeared in front of her, this time showing modern Earth. Lights blinked across the globe, Antarctica, the Sahara, the Pacific, and others, each pulsing brighter with every second. "What's happening?" she whispered. "The remaining nodes are activating," the voice replied. "They will perform what we once called the purification. The reset. It cannot be stopped." Elena shook her head in disbelief. "No, there must be a way. You left this knowledge for us, there has to be something we can do to prevent it." The figure stepped closer, its light enveloping her. "The cycle can be delayed, not broken. But you hold the choice we never made, you can choose understanding over control. Record this knowledge. Pass it on. Perhaps the next cycle will awaken differently." The chamber began to tremble, a deep rumble reverberating through the air. Cracks of light spread across the floor, like a heartbeat reaching its limit. The figure's glow began to fade. Elena Cruz, it said softly, almost mournfully, remember this truth, you are not the first. You are the echo of something far greater. The archive will close. Tell your world, before it forgets again. She screamed, wait, what about the others? What about humanity? The figure's light flared once more. The next cycle begins. Then the light consumed everything. When Elena opened her eyes again, she was lying on the desert floor under the open sky. The entire dig site was gone, swallowed by the earth as if it had never existed. The equipment, the tents, even the excavation pit, vanished. Only a faint circle of scorched sand marked the spot. Her recorder lay beside her, miraculously intact. The last entry played back her frantic whisper, they were here. They built everything. We are their echoes. She looked out over the horizon. Far away, over the Pacific, a faint pulse of blue light blinked beneath the ocean, steady, rhythmic, growing stronger. And for the first time, Elena realized the terrifying truth. The reset hadn't destroyed the first civilization. It had started again, and humanity was about to follow the same path.